Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and we are here to talk about our favorite subject, blockchain and FinTech. And we brought together the best and the brightest as investors from around the world to share their thoughts and insights and on-the-ground perspective around today's topic. We know this industry continues to change and evolve at the millisecond basis, and that's why we continue to cover this topic as in-depth as we do. Also, blockchain and FinTech seems to be merging with everything. And as I do, I have a few headlines for you around today's topic. First and foremost, DeFi, decentralized finance, total lock value, TLV, has reached now all-time highs again. Just moments ago, we crossed over the 40 billion with a capital B dollar mark, which is up from when Maria and I first reported about an hour and a half ago from 39 billion. And up even more from May last year when we just crossed $1 billion. What does this mean for you listening? There is a lot happening and a lot of opportunity, and people believe into where this industry of the next financial infrastructure we are building is going. Pay attention. Amazon, finally, after tons of rumors and headlines, Amazon has finally announced the launch of a digital currency project that they'll be working on in Mexico. We don't have full details yet, but stay tuned for more. MasterCard would not be outdone by Visa and decided to roll out their plan to support cryptocurrencies on their network and infrastructure this year, bringing the ability to buy, sell, and send cryptocurrencies to over 1 billion users and over 30 million merchants. Again, matching more of what Visa has rolled out over the last few days. Uber's CEO has come out and said that the company will start to accept Bitcoin as they see a need for it in the coming future. We'll see where that goes. BNY, Bank of New York Mellon, the world's largest custody bank globally, with about 41 trillion plus or minus assets under management, has now announced they're moving into the cryptocurrency space, opening up a custody unit for all digital assets, including cryptocurrencies. And Charlottesville-based Blue Ridge Bank has now announced as well that they have rolled out 19 ATMs in locations, both physical and off-sites, it's just standalone ATMs around the US, to allow for individuals to buy and sell Bitcoin at these ATMs. Much more to cover, much more to talk about. We've brought the best and the brightest to share these types of things with you and to give their perspective on this and much more. If you'd like to be on a show like today, reach out to the team and or myself. We'll find that right spot for you. Speaking of team, a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. We've got a very special guest today with us who's going to be sharing their project. We're going to jump in and let Mohammed share his company with us in this space here for just a few minutes. We'll give some feedback, and then we'll continue introducing all of our guests today and get their insights on where this industry is going. Mohammed, are you there? Just got to unmute there.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Wonderful. Yeah, so you're going to have 5 minutes on the clock, so we'll go ahead and switch on your presentation. And investors, just a reminder, Mohammed will have 5 minutes on the clock to present his company. We'll each give him a little bit of feedback and or a question, and then we'll roll into today's topic. Mohammed, the floor is yours. You've got 5 minutes on the clock.
Thank you. Hello everyone. Let me to introduce myself. I am Muhammad Ali. I am founder for Yalla Shughul. Yalla Shughul, it's exceptional idea for exceptional venture, which Jordan-based technical incubation company that supports entrepreneurs of social innovation and social entrepreneurship projects that will improve the community, and we are specialists for many business solutions for their projects and ideas that contribute to achieving the global goals of sustainable development. The key people, Muhammad Ali and Majd Sliman, we have more than 5 years experience in entrepreneurship, and Majd Sliman, he got Master of Business Administration from London University, and Muhammad Ali, he got a Diploma International Relationship and Management from London College. And Majdi Sliman, he aware the silver medal worldwide. And Muhammad Ali, he was starting with Kareem Company. It's Kareem Company. It's the biggest company for transportation in the Middle East, which he started in Jordan with 0 captains, 0 customers. Until 3 years inside Kareem, he upped this customers from 0 to 2 millions inside Jordan and 25,000 captains inside Jordan. And we have big team for more than 30 innovator and expert. We are also a woman empowerment place. The problems inside the market, the startups are not doing executing very well inside the market and unleashed opportunities, and the cost for to build the platform very high quality, and they lack sustainable, and they are start without team. Some of them they are not expert in them field, and they are not think in the future about the cryptocurrency. Okay, the solution, technical incubator that provide all needs and required services to the startups in MENA region. We offer our services through our projects. We start launching our projects the 1st of January 2021, 5 projects. The first one, it's Yalla Hire. Yalla Hire, it's employment field, which it's the first platform in Jordan and Middle East, have 4 sections: jobs, employment, and services, and freelancers, and they can get between the payment between the cryptocurrency. And the Cadby, it's the first platform for the services. It look like Fiverr, but it's the first platform for Jordan and Middle East. You can use the cryptocurrency coin payment inside that platform. And we have another. We start to launching Boomerang Joe. Boomerang Joe, it's e-commerce and digital marketing solution inside Jordan and Middle East, and we're gonna launch it in 5 countries: Spain and Morocco and Palestine and Jordan, and we're gonna launch it in UAE. And we have Yalla Naql. We did truck transportation. It's the first truck transportation. You get all the payment inside this application. This application, it's for the farmers, between the farmers and the sellers inside Jordan. And we did agreement with W4 program and to type its education field with all payment except with cryptocurrency too. The track record for Yalla Hire to type, Boomerang, Cadby, and Yalla Naql. We start launching 3 of our platforms. We launching Boomerang Joe, Yalla Naql to type, and Cadby, Yalla Hire. We start to get a lot of data who's they are think about the cryptocurrency in the Middle East. Our business model, B2B, B2C. And we did Ordunukum Riyada. Let me give you a brief. It's entrepreneurship innovated with a lot of sponsored. We give 2 rounds with the price 5,000 GD for each winner. We trained 80 startups. We trained 27 persons about the entrepreneurship. We trained 40 kids with Haya Culture Center. And the market in the MENA region, it's 590 million people. And the entrepreneurs who think about the market, they are 10 millions with the startups. And the competitors, they talk just 10% from the market, and the market is still open. 90%, it's a huge number. If we talk 10 and to 50% from this market, we will cross everything. The competition between Yalla Shughl and incubators, we give the team. The incubators know. We give support, incubators know. We give the services, incubators know inside Jordan and Middle East. We give services and the platform with very high quality. But the incubators, they give the money and they talk equity in the same time. how it's work. We find the gap, we study the market, we bring the founders, we create a team, we build a product, high quality product. Then we launch the project inside Jordan and Middle East. What we ask 500,000 for developing and running our projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Appreciate it. Great job as well for sharing your presentation. So investors, I want to come around again for a quick piece of feedback and or question that you may have for Mohammed. Mohammed, as I mentioned pre-show, anything that may want to go one-on-one and take offline, definitely recommend doing that, as well as everyone is connected. Efron, let's start with you. Any feedback and or question for Mohammed? Bless you, Matthew.
Bless you.
Thank you, Mohammed, for the presentation. Tal, I'm gonna come back. I want to hear a few questions first. Yeah.
Sure. Greg, let's start with you. Any questions or feedback? And again, Mohammed, great job. I know it takes a lot to get up and present a company product as well. So really do appreciate it and congratulations on that. Greg.
Well, I'm a Y Combinator graduate myself. The things I most enjoyed about Y Combinator were the meals, which were free, and also the speakers that came to the meals. And so is there a view of having other successful entrepreneurs that have already done things in the region talk and meet with the folks that are in the various classes?
Yeah, the market, it's a very big market, and the entrepreneurs, there are a lot of entrepreneurs in Jordan and Middle East, and they are too much expert. They have very big expert, and they have very big experience inside the market, but they don't have the thing, or they don't have to go to the incubators to support them very well.
Okay.
So on that real quick, I'll add to that, to Greg's point. So Mohammed, highly recommend that. It's a huge bonding engagement, not just for you, your team, and the teams that you're working with, but with other entrepreneurs and the network that you're bringing. Having run an accelerator myself in the past, it was one of the most exciting pieces, not just for the entrepreneurs, for us also running the program. So highly recommend it, whether it's pizza or something nicer. As well, I highly recommend adding that into a weekly or bi-weekly program that you're putting on. Thank you, Greg. David, any thoughts, comments, or questions?
So I don't very often get involved in enterprises at that type of stage. So I the only thing I would say is, to the extent that folks are missing, infrastructure and services, and they're willing to trade that for equity, I think it's an incredible trade. I think those businesses are often starved for capital too. So if you can, I don't know if it's part of your model, but if you can go ahead and as well set up a channel for lots of potential, investors in these companies to go ahead and pitch their ideas, try to attract capital, I think that would be very helpful. Maybe I'm saying something that's extremely, basic. I don't know. Again, I don't usually get involved in companies at this stage.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Noble.
Hey, hi, Mohammed. I like what you're doing. We're doing something similar in Los Angeles with M Accelerator. I have a question. I understand the ask, but what exactly is the offer? Are we gaining for $500,000? What are we gaining by being a part of the network? How much equity? What is it, a debt instrument? I don't understand what the offer is, and I came in a little late, so I apologize if I missed that.
Yeah, if I get what we need, I'm gonna give equity from my company, but that equity, it's between 6% until 10%. Why? Because I'm gonna tell you, I did a lot of job inside this platforms, and I already paid a lot of until this to get this platforms, because I have Bitcoin in the market, cryptocurrency. I am the one from the region, MENA region. They have Bitcoin, and I am a stockholder from Kareem and Uber too. But in the same time, I couldn't found any platform in the MENA region or in the Middle East to give me services to have like application or platform, or should I pay a cryptocurrency? I couldn't find this in all the MENA region. And we did a lot of research in the market. We are the first platforms in the MENA region with the cryptocurrency.
And then my follow-up question is, what entity would we be investing in? So we would be investing in a domestic entity, or would we be investing in a US-based entity? I'm trying to understand where our ownership interest would lie.
We are asking about that to launching very well inside all MENA region, and to make marketing for the people who's used the audience who's used the cryptocurrency inside this MENA region. That's what we need.
So,
I just
Mohammed,
need to make marketing. That's it.
So Mohammed, just to clarify, as I think this may be a common question amongst all investors, you have a global set of investors here coming from different countries around the world. What they all want to know is where is the company based that they would be investing in? Many of the investments, speaking on their behalf, so I apologize for putting words in their mouth, but most of them are making investments, and when they do, they look at a Delaware-based company. So here in the United States, a Delaware C Corp is a typical investment. Again, everyone invests everywhere, but that's, I think, kind of to Noble's point. So where is the company that you and your team have built? Is it based in Jordan? Is it based in another country? Where is the company based that money would be put into?
I said before, we are Jordan based. We are
Got
Jordan
it. Okay.
based because Jordan, it's the best test market in all the Middle East. If the people they use any platform in Jordan, you're gonna know in all Middle East they're gonna use the same platform.
Wonderful.
That's why.
Well, thank you, Mohammed. Real quick, Matthew, Ifran, Anuj, Harsh, any questions or quick feedback for Mohammed? Again, everyone is connected with Mohammed offline, but Anuj, any quick feedback or a question, and then Harsh, I'll come to you.
Yes. So, Mohammed, I worked with a lot of accelerators, with a lot of incubators. We, at this point in time as well, have acceleration partners in Australia, in Israel, in Dubai. And here's where one feedback that I want to share with you. I see that you are trying to build a company that is then building product for other entrepreneurs. There is a very fine distinction between a startup and between an SME enterprise. MENA, while it's a high potential market right now, it's still in its very early phase. So when you're going in saying, hey, I will build products for all startups across all sectors, you ain't Superman made. So it's gonna create some problem for you, because when I see the 5 companies you show me, I see you're going all over the place. I'm gonna do this, that, every $1 billion thing. That's not, at least in my experience, how things work. So if you're going ahead, of course, good luck with your fundraise. I more power to you. I wish you luck. But my feedback would be, pick one industry. When we started Yellow Sapphire, we had a clear vision that we want to help companies in FinTech. We, over the last year, then grew into health tech, and over this year are now expanding into gaming. So it's a step-by-step process, mate. You can't just launch 5 different verticals at once and then have 500K going into it, which is probably going to be distributed among all companies. So no one gets a big share. Really quick thing. Pick up one specialization where you have your expertise, and then just go all guns blazing.
Thank you so much. But in the first and in the last, I appreciate your feedback. I have very big experience. I am very dynamic guy and passionate guy, and I have very big experience. I was work with Kareem company as a fraud specialist emerging markets, and I was work in the same time vice president for a Royal Holding in Turkey remotely, and I was work GM for Boomerang in Middle East. I got the 3 jobs in the same time, and I did a lot of work inside these jobs. Alhamdulillah, I didn't told you that to show you, but I know myself. I can do the better things, and I got a lot of experts, founders. I got the founders, then I'm gonna put them inside my product, then they are start in my planning.
Mohammed, absolutely agree, and congratulations on all that growth and success. And I'll summarize for everybody as we'll wrap here real quick is to Anuja's and everyone's points, we've either all invested, run, or mentored at accelerator programs. And the key piece of advice here is just stay focused. That's all. If you can pick one lane, whether that be an industry, a country, a region, just stay focused and grow and expand. You don't have to take everything at once. So even if you can do it, doesn't mean you should. But nonetheless, wishing you all of the greatest success. What is the website that everyone can go to? If you could just say that real quick for the audience. What is the website everyone can go to check out more about the company?
Okay, you can go to the. I'm gonna send for you messages now. My platforms. You're gonna check my platforms. They are very high quality.
Mohammed, real quick. Mohammed, I don't mean to be rude and interrupt. Just so the audience can hear it. What is the website? You can drop it in the chat, but say it first so they all know where to go to find you.
Okay, Yalla Shughl. It's Yalla Shughl.
Wonderful.
It's now.
Thank you. YALASHOGHOL.com for everyone that's tuning in. Mohammed, thank you so much again. I really appreciate you sharing your company with us, and we wish you the best of luck. We'll make sure you're connected with everyone offline to continue the conversation, okay?
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Mohammed. Everyone, we're going to jump right in. We'll get to introductions afterwards. I think everyone knows how awesome each and every one of you are as investors. You're all in this space. What is happening? In the last 24 hours, we've seen a ton of big, huge announcements and movements in the enterprise space. Noble and I spoke earlier today about what's happening in the NFT space or digital assets, as we're seeing not just 5, 6, but now 7+ figure deals around digital collectibles happening with Lindsay Lohan getting involved and also Axie Infinity's big sale as well. So Matthew, I'm kicking it off with you today. Welcome back. What is happening from your view around blockchain and fintech?
Right. So, I'm sorry that I'm going to say it's just a continuation of what we've been talking about for a couple of years now. The world is transitioning to a world of digital monies and digital assets. And eventually, every asset class, every money, every commodity will be turned into a digital form, and it will be accessible and usable by anyone in the world through digital wallets and exchanges on digital transfer systems and settlement systems. It'll be cheap and efficient to do it, and you could be able to do it in real time. And in order for that to happen, we have to go through a painful transition. And that transition has two major components to it. New disruptive companies are getting stood up, and they're born into the new world, and they know how to do it, and they're pulling ahead. And that can be the Coinbases and the Krakens and the Ripples and so on of the world. And conversely, all the world's established companies and organizations and jurisdictions need to change what they're doing in order to bridge to the future. And that isn't easy. It's very painful for them, and it creates a lot of confusion. But what's beginning to happen, and you're seeing it in the press now every day, is that those management teams of Visa and MasterCard and BNY Mellon and a host of others, they've not only spent a lot of time thinking about it, they probably spent 2 and 3 years seriously thinking about digital monies and digital assets. They then came up with strategies, and they're now ready to go public, and they're pulling the trigger, and they're saying, okay, we're in, we're all in, this is what's going to happen next. And it's also true that you've got companies like Tesla who are suddenly announcing, apparently suddenly, in the case of Tesla, it could be suddenly deciding to embrace Bitcoin in their corporate treasury. But what's also happening is every other large company in the world is analyzing the topic. And what you'll suddenly see is the dominoes will fall. And it'll be like Apple and then Google and then Facebook. They'll all start announcing, we have a small allocation to Bitcoin. We have a small allocation to this space. We are exploring our own stablecoin. You saw that Amazon announcing They are now going to explore their own Amazon coin in Mexico. This is a tipping point. And so I'm going to wrap up there, Kyle. You know, we're transitioning to a future of digital monies and digital assets. It's painful for the incumbents. The disruptive companies are pulling ahead. And now the dominoes are falling as all the established companies announce their strategies, which have been 2 and 3 years in the making. And it's very exciting for everyone who's operating in the space.
Matthew, I have a follow-up, and I know you work a lot in this space, so I'll make it a little bit broader so you don't have to be too specific.
Yes.
As well as, what is your prediction as to who some of the next big enterprise companies may be to announce their involvement in either having Bitcoin on their balance sheet or big cryptocurrency news? And I'll leave it open.
Yes,
again, I know you work a lot.
Yes, I know you want me to name names, but I'm going to be a little generic. I'm going to say that every technology company with a global network is exploring a stable coin or a loyalty token. And so, yes, Facebook went public early, probably earlier than they should have. Believe me, you couldn't be Amazon or Apple or Tencent or Alibaba or Facebook, of course, without being in the midst of thinking about, should we have our own network token? They're all looking at it. Amazon just announced, essentially they've announced, actually, I don't know that they corporately have announced, but everyone's watching their job postings and they're describing how they're going to have a stablecoin project in Mexico. So just pick one, pick anyone, you know, pick Apple, pick Amazon, pick Google. They're all working on this. Visa, MasterCards are beginning to announce it. In terms of the big banks, yes, every bank is right now exploring crypto custody, Bitcoin custody. Some of them are ready to announce it. Some of them are still not quite sure how they're going to do it, but believe me, they're all working on it. And when it comes to corporate treasurers, there were, I believe that the Michael Saylor conference had more than 1,000 corporate treasury representatives from major institutions. You'd be crazy to be a corporate treasurer and not asking the question, you know, should I replace some of my cash with some Bitcoin? Because as we all know, there's parts of the world right now with negative interest rates, Switzerland, Germany, where if you have a cash balance in a Swiss bank right now, they charge you to hold the money. It's a negative interest rate. It's a liability. Cash just moved. In Switzerland, cash went from being an asset. It's now actually a liability because it costs you money to have cash. Well, that is for a corporate treasurer, they're not supposed to hold a diminishing asset as an asset. It's no longer an asset. So they are beginning to think very seriously about what is my treasury balance sheet. So Carl, listen, I'm not going to say it's going to be Apple, but if it's not Apple, I'm sort of surprised.
Yeah, I agree. You did it. You painted the perfect picture. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate it. You painted the perfect picture. I saw shaking heads and smiles all around. So Greg, I'm going to come back. Thank you, Matthew. Greg, I'm going to come back to you. What are you seeing happening? I mean, coming from the regulatory environment, now working in the identity space, what are you seeing happening as this all starts to flourish and unfold here in 2021?
Well, the part I'm excited about is, yes, all these mainstreams are beginning to come over, but the part we're particularly interested in is seeing things like virtual assets, like the concept that, like, we talked to a bunch of folks that are making motion pictures, and instead of selling their rights to Netflix, or we talked to ASO, which controls the Tour de France, instead of selling like all the rights for a market on a geofence basis, you could actually sell tickets to events that are on the blockchain, and that could become trading assets. And so there's a whole new way of bypassing the traditional distributors for content. And so I'm super excited about that. The flattening of the world between the creators and the people that consume their creative content, that is super disruptive. And we are seeing that for real now in 2021.
Absolutely. Thank you, Greg Noble. We talked a lot about NFTs. earlier today. So paint us a different picture. Where does this industry go from your eyes as it starts to unfold?
Yeah, let's be sincere. Money is super, super cheap. We have 6, 7 companies that are $1 trillion market caps. Trillion. This is not some, Apple last year passed 2 trillion market caps. And the reality is cash is becoming a liability. The idea that inflation is basically driven it down to the point of where we have $1 trillion companies, $2 trillion companies, is leading to this new burgeoning asset class in a significant way. We know that we're about, the amount of money that the U.S. government is planning to print, with 1.3 trillion, is equal to the market cap of one of the largest companies out there. This is unfathomable in people's minds at how accessible and easy capital is. So we have to realize that this transition is a necessary evil to stem the tide of the inflationary pressure on the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar was the peg since World War II. That's people. I tell people this all the time. Built a whole entire game around it. That we live as a byproduct of the end of the World War II decisions that were made. How the world was chopped up, and how we run our financial system. With a degree in finance, and my focus has been investing for 20 years. Everything we've done has been a legacy of that period. And now that baby boomers are aging, they're starting to move into a whole different phase. There's been an opportunity for the last 25 years for a new generation of people who realize that digital is the way to go. And so cash has to be replaced with something else that has a value. We talk Lindsay Lohan, we talk NFTs. There has to be assets that have a distinct value that can't just be printed at the whim of a central bank or a central authority, that actually is a direct-to-consumer share, collectible, and creation of wealth. Because otherwise, the millennials don't have a chance in a world where people are starting to outstretch and outstrip them. There's no chance to own real estate in California if every home is $1 to $2 million. It doesn't work. I live in Orange County where the median home prices, are over $1 million, but yet kids are still trying to fight if they can get an extra $4 for a living wage. Something's going on that people are really realizing that the system that is here can't be played because it's been too entrenched. It's too much of a legacy system. And so I'm very excited what's happening. And, to Matthew's point and to Greg's point, companies are also starting to realize that unless they create some kind of methodology to integrate with the millennials, they're going to lose a whole entire generation of loyalty. And so the loyalty points, the loyalty rewards, is creating wealth for their consumers. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Gaming is the new gig economy, but also gamification is the new gigging economy. That being able to go to Amazon and then jump through all their hoops and then earn credits or earn Amazon points or Apple tokens, the companies realize that they have to start sharing the wealth with their consumers. Because if they don't, then you have things like GameStop and these ideas of people thinking that they're making these big sacrifices just to be heard.
Right. And thank you, Noble. And we're going to come more on the GameStop and the just distribution of those things and another episode, and maybe even on Clubhouse tomorrow as a little teaser for everybody. David, thank you, Noble. I know you got to go. I'll give you a shout out at the end. David, to you, same question. How do you see this all unfolding from your side, also running the fund that you do? I know you're seeing a lot on the currency side. So what are you seeing in general?
So to go to Noble's points that he made, I very much agree with them. But I am cautious about the potential for those very radical changes to happen in a short period of time. I know the digitization of assets is going to go, and the income inequality and low rates affecting certainly much more to the benefit of the higher end of the earning spectrum than lower end. But I don't know if the government, the Fed, and all of the powers that be are going to go ahead and allow these things to slip out of their control. I think they're going to try to keep the range bound for as long as they possibly can. That's point one. Again, that's a macro point. We could talk about it. It's very interesting. And I think we'll only know the answer to it in decades from now. However, with respect to what I do in terms of investing, generally on a passive basis, the most incredible, and I'm just going to sound like a choir boy, but the most incredible asset right now on a risk-adjusted basis is Bitcoin. I think we are just getting started with the absolute whipped up fear of missing out frenzy that is going to happen. I mean, it's going to be nuts. I mean, to the point that Matthew made earlier about dominoes starting to fall. Hopefully I'll be on the show that discusses GameStop, just because, it was a very interesting vignette, to say the least. But the truth is, the ability for not only people in this country, but across the world. I mean, we heard from Mohammed, there's nothing going on in the Middle East yet. The ability for the entire world to get whipped up, in addition to the fact that there are very fundamental, substantive reasons for companies and other entities and institutions around the world to be invested, I think is just staggering. And we have certainly a downside protection at this price. I mean, we know what it's worth. We know that people are using it, spending it, storing it, so on and so forth. To me, it's an incredibly good investment at this point. And so I don't mean to sound boring, but I will continue to preach that until we get to a point of velocity that's really unsustainable. But I don't think we're even close.
Thank you, David. It's not boring at all. It's a clear statement to everyone's points as well. So appreciate it. Ifran, to you, same question.
Thanks, Kyle, and thank you, David, for sharing your thought. I think, to be honest, I would resonate this. I'm cautious, right? So as I like to hedge my risk, and essentially, obviously, one aspect that's happening right now, which is also a strong possibility, right, is the FOMO, right? And as an investor, is someone who's been vested in this industry for some time, I'm cautious what impact some aspects and some attributes could bring into the industry. And this is important because timing is crucial. I do understand a lot of the incumbents are right now trying to make certain adoption. In fact, some incumbents did adoption much earlier than some of these organizations that we have just mentioned, and they haven't been very successful. In fact, they understood the technology but tried to implement it in ways which goes against the ethos of the industry, which didn't really result in or didn't yield positive results. So, and I think the other aspect over here is also crucial, is right, because as we are moving faster and faster, regulators have tons of catch up to do, like a huge list of catch up to do, and which means that there are aspects that we need to be very careful about, because just as when the going is good, everything is great. When the going is bad, things falls apart. And right now I would honestly say that there are a lot of exposure that we have. And one thing that I just wanted to mention, and I think it's contextual, because what's happening with Robinhood right now, it's sort of like a lesson in a way, because it's a company that created quite disruptive innovation, however is not managed to, and I'm sure you heard what happened very recently about the kid who passed away or who killed himself, and these are going to have impact. And and it's going to have impact in industries that are also similar, or operators who are also operating in similar ways. So what I'm trying to say is that regulators need to come in front. We need to be also sort of cautious as to how we are getting exposed in terms of some of these industries, because the rules are not set yet, because the creators are the ones who are sort of evangelizing the rules and advocating it through a lot of marketing. And as I said, it takes one bad incident to pretty much take down a lot of the things. So I'm cautious, but at the same time, as David mentioned, there are plenty of opportunities, right? I mean, we just heard from Mohammed, Middle East isn't the only place. Deep here in the US, there are so many areas and places where we're looking for, and opportunities are, I would say, quite big. So, I would end this on this, that, I am, very happy with the adoption, and something that we have always been talking about, and, this was meant to happen. I just hope these adoptions are calculative versus, something that's not as calculative as one could get.
Absolutely. Thank you very much as well, Efron. And Harsh, I want to come to you next. I saw you on mute. Anuj, you're going to close this out. So Harsh, your quick thoughts on what's happening with the industry, and then Anuj, I'll come to you next.
Sure. So the entire thing started when these over last year, all these central banks started printing notes like crazy, right? Across the world, we saw over $10 trillion worth of notes being printed by all these major central banks across the world, just to ensure that they could keep their citizens in and keep them paying. Because of that, we are seeing a huge devaluation of cash. And to Noble's point, cash these days has become a liability because of the way that they printed it so much, right? So this right now is not a very this is a very major systemic change that we are looking at, right? It's a major pivoting structure. I'll give you two scenarios what we are typically looking at. So one scenario, and at one end, I saw a couple of articles last year, in the Q4 of 2020, where the European central banks and IMF, and they were considering reverting back to the gold standard, right? In the 1971, we kind of went away from the gold standard and moved to these dynamic systems where we could simply print notes as and when required. So they wanted to stop that, and they were considering of moving back to the gold standard. Now that creates a new conundrum, right? If we move back to the gold standard, how do we then kind of value the current cash right now, and how do we exactly pivot to that entire system? And at the same time, right now we have this huge growth in Bitcoin happening. So the biggest growth in Bitcoin primarily happened because of the massive printing that happened, right? And people were no longer trusting fiat currencies as a sole form of revenue. So now, what I see it as a huge global clash between an institutional form of fiat currency, which is controlled by central banks, versus a decentralized form of payment, which is controlled by individuals themselves, which is the Bitcoin, right? So over the coming few years, this we'll kind of have a huge opportunity comparison between where we'll see whether we are having the gold standard and the fiat currencies moving forward, or we are having a decentralized form of payments, which is the Bitcoin or the Ethereum or any other form of coins. Either are they going or not? So that is where I structurally see. At the same time, if it could go the other way as well, right? Bitcoin could turn up to be another tulip mania. You never know what might happen. It could turn out into be another tulip mania. But if it does not, and Bitcoin becomes something much more bigger than what it is right now, as David was alluding to, you have a single company like Tesla owning 40% of it, right? So if Bitcoin becomes really huge and a single company owning 40% of that wealth, we are talking like a Rockefeller like wealth kind of creation over there, right? It's gonna be humongous in the kind of the ownership of which Tesla might have if Bitcoin kind of becomes more prominent over there. So this is going to be an interesting the 2021 and 2022 to see where these war between the currencies kind of ends up, and what kind of people kind of trusting more. Are they trusting the fiat currencies, or are they preferring the cryptocurrencies?
Thank you very much, Harsh. Anuj, close us out. Where do you see this industry kind of unraveling or unfolding right now? And then I'll come to everyone for the quick shout outs of where you can be found online before we close. So Anuj, to you.
Thanks, mate. Good to be back. So we haven't spoken in a month. I've missed speaking to you. I've missed our sessions. And then over the last 1 month, the progress that's been made in the industry has sort of fundamentally shifted my perspective around things. It's more or less like the tectonic plates that are constantly moving, not just in millions of years, but for that matter, in months. As of right now, the industry stands at a very crucial tipping point, if I may call it that. You have Tesla that's accepting Bitcoins. They have already made commitments to invest $1.5 billion in Bitcoins. But at the same time, we have to understand that it was just in 2018 when Indian government said, we don't identify Bitcoin as a currency. We identify it as a crypto asset. And there's a very fine line that needs to be established. If you remember, 2 or 3 months ago, we were having this conversation when Visa had partnered up with a crypto-based company to offer Bitcoins as cashback instead of any reward point or stuff like that. And I told you that MasterCard is going to do it within 3 months. Here we are.
Yep.
When you talk about the move that Tesla just made, it gives me a lot of possibilities, which sort of makes me extra cautious about Bitcoin right now. Because on one side, it's very easy to call it a currency. We keep using the word cryptocurrency, but we have to understand it's not a currency as of yet. Unlike a currency, it has limited quantity and it can only be mined so much. So when you talk about someone going in, and if I was to buy gold right now, I can go and buy it $1 worth. But will I get that fleck, or will I just get a paper note that said, hey, you have $1 and then you get $1 worth of gold with it? So will we move it from a gold standard to a Bitcoin standard? Not too sure. I'm not holding my breath on it. Secondly, with Tesla finally saying, yeah, we are going to accept Bitcoin as payment. It's one thing to accept that as a payment. It's another thing to say, we are going to price the product in Bitcoin. I don't see that happening anytime soon. So that also makes me skeptical. Along with it, when you are accepting that as a payment method, the question that comes into picture is, will you hold on to that Bitcoin? If I pay you, let's say, 1 Bitcoin for 1 car, will you hold on to that Bitcoin, or will you do what the standard procedure is right now, that if I order a Tesla from India, I pay in Indian rupees, you get US dollars, and there it goes. So those points still keeps me a bit concerned about it. Let's not forget, mining Bitcoins is a lot harder than it used to be from 2011 to 2012. So while, of course, we have a meteoric rise right now, Elon Musk, a big name coming in, dropping that Bitcoin bomb on us out of nowhere, it's going to take the price to an all-time high. But definitely, it's going to correct itself. We just have to see how much. I was hearing some speculations that Apple is going to be the next company that's going to announce this, along with CNBC. So fingers crossed. I've been saying this a lot. It's about time that all these big tech came out and said, yeah, we are finally going to accept these payment methods. It's really curious to see right now. I'm not just going to hold a spotlight onto it to keep it under check at all times. There's a spotlight, there are just multiple spotlights, and then there's a microscope and everything. I really have to keep it under check at all point in time, because if you miss it by a second, you don't know where things are going then.
Agreed. Matthew, real quick, thank you, Nuj. Matthew, where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation? I'll come around to everybody.
Yes, so we're the leading blockchain venture fund of funds, blockchaincoinvestors.com. We have a big closing coming up in the next 4 weeks, so there's a last call going on. And thanks a lot for having me, Carl. I have to go, but I don't quite agree with Anuj. I don't think any of these things are unexpected. These are all inevitabilities, and you're going to hear a lot more. The dominoes are falling. None of this is unexpected. We've been saying it's going to happen for 5 years, and all that's happening now is where the inflection curve is picking up on digital monies and digital assets. See you later. Thank you very much.
See you, Matthew. We will dive in and battle that topic a little bit more tomorrow as we release our first Clubhouse VCTV style as well. So everyone tune in tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern, and 5 p.m. UK time as well. But with that, Anuj, back to you. Quick one-liner. Where can everyone find you online?
Greg Kidd here. Just Twitter.
Sorry. Real quick. All right, let's go to Greg first and then Anuj. I think you both, it's okay. Everyone went at the same time. Greg first.
Just twitter.com/Greg Kidd.
Wonderful. Thank you, Greg. Anuj. Bye, Greg. Have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend. Anuj, to you, where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter, twitter.com/Anuj. You have my name spelled right there. It's right here this time. So yeah, otherwise go on to LinkedIn, look me up. You can look up my company, Yellow Sapphire Technologies. We are actively working in crypto payments and in other blockchain technologies. So more than happy to have an interaction. Just adding a last one-liner from what Matthew said. Of course, it's not unexpected. We do see it coming, but it's finally here, and that's when I say it's a tectonic shift. So you have to now be all hands on deck at all point in time. Let's see how the industry goes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anuj. David, where can everyone find you and ProChain Capital online as well?
Sure. You can reach me at david@prochaincap.com. That's david@prochaincap.com. And I simply want to say this panel was outstanding. The minds that are on this panel and the thoughts, I think, were really deep. We probably could have gone on for a long, long time. But I'm really humbled and appreciative to be part of this group.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, David, for the kind words, and couldn't agree more with you. We definitely could have gone longer, and we will continue this conversation tomorrow again on VCTV and much more all next week. So thank you, David. Harsh, where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation as well?
Sure. You can find me on LinkedIn, Harsh Shetia. You need any help with FinTech, marketing tech, health tech, I'll be more than glad to help you out in any way, shape, or form. And as far as this thing is concerned, you normally have people who are kind of adhering to trends and hoping to make some windfalls out of it. And you have people like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs who create trends and who create their own tsunamis. And people just, jump on the bandwagons to kind of drive it. So I would like to close it at that point.
Thank you. And Ifran, close us out. Where can everyone find you to continue the conversation as well?
Thanks, Kyle. I can be reached through Twitter at Semper Irfan or through LinkedIn at Sheikh Mohammed Irfan. Just as a closing thought, I have been pro innovation and always been to that, but I'm also pro responsible innovation. What that means is that, today, if we have, distrust in a financial system, which was once an innovation in the Renaissance period, today we have lost trust on that system for a very specific reason, because it was mishandled and mismanaged. Today, we are talking about trying to move our life assets, real life assets, physical assets to digital assets. It's an immense responsibility. We're talking about our homes, our life, our medication, and all of that. I'm an evangelist for this innovation, of course. But if that is not done responsibly, we're looking at a pretty disastrous scenario. So as I say, I don't want to be, engrossed in the FOMO, and I don't want, this to dissipate in a way that, we have a tool and we can make a difference with it. We just don't want that tool to be, filled with our blood. So I think, I don't want to be grim, and as I said, it's a great time to be in this industry. But at the same time, we must not forget, we have a huge number of people who are unemployed right now. Their manufacturing is at an all-time low. So, just because the market is doing great doesn't mean the economy is doing well. So we need to be looking into it and see, how we can translate and create that equilibrium so that we can move towards a sustainable new decade. So I'll close to that and back to you, Kyle. And thanks to everyone for a fantastic panel.
Thank you, everyone. And again, echoing the same, thank you guys, everyone, for joining today's panel. And again, a great conversation. To David's point, we could have gone on for another hour, and we will, again, bring everyone back to continue this discussion because there's so much to be had. Thank you to you, our audience, for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, share the episode, and also check out the archive on LATOKEN.com to hear from all of the speakers today on today's topic and a number of other topics, and the entire VCTV family from around the world as we bring together the best and the brightest to share their thoughts and insights on the ground perspective around different technologies, industries, and regions around the world. And if you'd like to be on a show like today, either as an investor to share your thoughts, or as an entrepreneur like Mohammed earlier to share your company, product, or service, reach out to the team and or myself, and we'll find that right spot for you. Speaking of the team, a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day, all day, and bringing us all together to share these types of trends and education with all of you. Also, as we mentioned throughout today's episode, join us tomorrow, Friday, February 12th, on Clubhouse, as we'll be unpacking more around blockchain in 2021 as well here on VCTV, a special edition for this week. We'll be back here tomorrow with more VCTV as well. Also, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me along with all of our guests everywhere online at Kyle Ellicott as well. Everyone have a wonderful day. And again, we'll see you back tomorrow with more VCTV. Take care, everybody.